All right. We are live. It has been quite a while since we last did one of these things.
Indeed.
Go over here real quick. Today is going to be different. Nothing has really been leaked or announced recently that we can really talk about. So,
Keep going.
what we're gonna do is talk about Klee. How you can build her, what characters go with her, go best with her rather.
Let's go on a big
I'll bring
adventure.
her out right now. So, Colin, let's start
Yes.
with what are your general thoughts on Klee?
Hmm. She is okay character.
What do you think?
Strength.
Go ahead.
Weaknesses do not necessarily. Well, they hold her back enough to not be the greatest character in the game.
I can agree with that. Klee, in my opinion, is a very strong character. She has a lot. She has some of the highest damage potential in the game. When you pair her with, especially when you pair her with characters like Venti or Sucrose, her damage potential is absolutely ridiculous. But she is a bit team dependent because her biggest problems are definitely her HP pool and her general attack speed, because her normal attack speed is very slow, especially after you use last the last of her 1, 2, 3 attack combo. It can take a little bit of time to go to the next one, and I'm auto attacking just into street here and mashing the attack button after her second attack. Sometimes she doesn't actually do the third attack.
Hmm.
But that might just be because I'm using a controller. And I've got one of those Power 1 Xbox controllers, so it could just be the quality of controller for me.
Maybe, but unlikely.
Uh, another big issue with Klee is her HP pool. It's among the lowest in the game. I think it is, anyway.
I think it is.
If it's not the lowest, it's pretty up there.
Being pretty down there.
Indeed, it's in either case, it's really fucking low, and this makes her really squishy. It in the Spiral Abyss, I find myself getting one shot by a lot of the enemies there as Klee. Just just for existing, basically. Like, if you misposition her even a little bit, she's likely going to get punished for it really hard, which will either get her killed or will get her really low and you'll have to swap out for her.
A note in there, Klee has the 11th lowest HP in the game.
11th? I did not know that. Thank you for clarifying. I'm curious, who has the lowest HP pool?
Official.
Oh,
I knew
that's...
that off the top of my head.
Huh.
It goes Fischl, Sucrose, Yanfei, Amber, Diona, Lisa, Barbara, Ningguang, Ganyu, Jinkyo, and then Klee.
Huh. So she's just outside of the top 10 lowest, but
Yep.
just barely. But in either case, Klee has a really low HP pool, and for a main DPS, this can be a bit of a problem. because I'll switch to Eula real quick. We'll see the difference. Both of these characters are level 90. I have 25,016 HP on my Eula. Klee only has 19,000. That's a 6,000 point difference.
Sounds like you have more health.
No, she has a 16,000. Sorry. So that's almost a 10,000 HP difference. Now, it could be that Eula has an HP, a percent HP somewhere in her artifact. I'd have to look at that, but
She most definitely does. Her base HP is 13k, and you're double that.
But in either case, Klee's HP pool is still smaller than Eula's, which is a bit of a problem, considering how short her range is. Especially when you compare her to Ning Wong, whose auto attacks home in on enemies. So you can...
in on enemies, she would be garbage trash.
She really would. She has some of the slowest attack projectile speeds in the game, and it takes, and sometimes it can take an eternity for her charge attacks to go off. But goddamn, that ult of hers does so fucking much. But we're talking about Klee, so we're getting a little off topic. Anyway, she's got a small HP pool, and Klee's attacks in particular, her auto attacks, can be very slow. And it can take a little bit of time to wind up her charge attacks. And Klee is very much a charge attack style catalyst user. And that is because of this talent. When she uses her elemental skill or normal attacks, she has a 50% chance to obtain an explosive spark. I'll go ahead and find an asshole to kill. I need like a ruin guard. Forget where there's one. I think there's one at the Thousand Winds Temple. Which I'm in the wrong area. So I want just one asshole to kill. I don't want to climb all the way up there. God. I guess it'll work. One. Yeah, I lucked out. I got one. I attacked once and I got one. I attacked again and I got one. Use Klee's elemental skill and I get one. So every time you see this flower with Klee, you get a free charge attack. It deals bonus, the charge attack itself deals bonus damage and costs no stamina to use. This is part of what makes Klee such an effective DPS, in my opinion. Because she's able to essentially spam those, and even if it's just a 50% chance, you saw I got that like 3 out of 4 times. You could just chalk that up to good luck.
Luck that you're not going to get holy Mona.
Indeed. That's where all my Mona luck is going to, is Klee charge attack luck. That's frustrating. Klee... God, this game just won't let me get Mona. I want her really bad.
Continue on.
Alright, Klee's charge attacks, in my opinion, are some of the strongest in the game. Which makes her charge attack build in particular really, really strong. But her next talent also when she charge attacks, when her charge attacks a crit, it gives her and every teammate 2 energy.
Dumpy dumpty go.
Which is actually really strong. So, let's talk about Klee's normal attacks. Oh, fuck. For her normal basic attacks, Klee uses bombs that deal AoE pyro damage with every single strike. This makes her very good with large crowds, inherently, but... Oh, my allergies are killing me today.
Unfortunate.
Klee's auto attacks are really strong, and like I said, when you use her auto attacks or her elemental skill, she gets a 50% chance to have an additional free charge attack. These things put together make her very, very effective as a main DPS. But her elemental skill, Jumpty Dumpty, leaves behind little mines. These mines linger around for a little bit until an enemy either walks into them or they time out, like they just did. And if the skill itself bounces up to 3 times. So, and every time it bounces, it deals AoE pyro damage. So the damage racks up with this skill very quickly. Especially with large crowds, and the radius of the bounces are really strong. But then, like I said, it also leaves behind those mines that those also deal AoE pyro damage. And you can use characters like Sucrose or Jean to gather those into one place and deal some pretty hefty damage to an enemy. Then I need to find another enemy. I'm doing a quest real quick, like. What are your thoughts on these 2 skills so far, Colin?
Bolton.
Her auto attacks and elemental skill. I haven't gotten to her ult yet.
Attacks are okay, and her elemental skill is decent. Better than some.
I would say her elemental skill is not necessarily one of the best in the game, because it's not a taunt.
It has too long of a cooldown, in my opinion.
It gives you two charges.
Yes, but the individual cooldown for each charge is too long, in my opinion. That is what's holding it back from being a really good skill.
I see.
Because if you spam them out, you like for support purposes and not to use as main DPS, it's actually a very long time before you can actually like just switch back to use it again. If you're someone who switches out a lot.
Perhaps. To me, you're not really trying to spam it, though. And the biggest drawing for these is actually her second constellation. Oops, that is not what I meant to open. Explosive frags, which when enemies get hit, it decreases defense by 23% for 10 seconds. Now, when you first hear it lowers defense, you might think, oh, well, that makes her really good with physical comps because it lowers enemy defenses and makes them more susceptible to damage, right? That is only partially true. It lowers defense, not physical resistance. Or elemental resistance. this makes Klee very flexible. She can fit just about any team comp as either a main DPS or a support.
Only if you have the second constellation level.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if you don't have any constellation, she's still an effective secondary DPS support character. And that's
She can, but I wouldn't call her good at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason she's able to do it at all is because of the mines that it leaves out. Those are really strong, and they actually do quite a bit. So let's see, where else? Where's an enemy I can kill? I think there's a. If I remember correctly, there's a Iceborne lava churl somewhere over here. I can't remember. I guess these illy churls will have to do. Please ult Sparks and Splash. You bring it out, and it deals AoE damage to enemies randomly. Or
It's
in
not
some
AoE.
It is. Well, the attacks themselves are.
It's kind of the main point of the attack itself is an AoE, and not the radius in which it procs.
Mm-hmm.
If it hit multiple enemies at the same time, then it would be an AoE.
True. True. It hits. It can hit multiple enemies, but not at once. Which makes it extremely useful with a single target because, well, what are they gonna? Ah, here we are. What are they gonna do? Oh, hello. Hello. Bit of churl. You're actually perfect right now. Fuck you and your shield. So, the ult itself lasts, what, 10 seconds? I can't remember exactly how long it lasts.
It is 10 seconds.
Yep, it lasts 10 seconds as a 15-second cooldown and costs 60 energy to use. So especially when she's only against one enemy, she is a very effective DPS because of this. You pair...
This is what makes our main DPS, by the way.
Hmm? What was that?
Her ult is what makes her a main DPS.
Mm-hmm. Now, it requires quite a bit of money being put into it, but if you can get her that 4th constellation, that is a huge burst that makes her effective as both a secondary DPS or a main DPS. Because you can leave that out, you can leave her out for the duration of her ult, and then at like 9 seconds, you swap to a different character, get that burst, and then swap back. And the thing about Klee's constellations is that they are kind of multifaceted. They can augment her own damage, but they also augment other people's damage as well. This, in general, makes Klee a very flexible pick. She fits just about any team comp. As long as you're trying to do... She's particularly strong as a main DPS with an elemental reaction comp. But before we get into team comps, let's go ahead and talk about certain builds. So, the guides that we watched today, every single one of them mentioned Witch's Blaze as the main artifacts that you should be getting, which is what I'm using here. I don't think this is the best... I don't think this is ideal for Klee, though. The set itself, the 4-piece set, gives increases overload and burning damage by 40%, and vaporize and melt damage by 15%. That's, by itself, really, really strong. But using your elemental skill, you increase the 2-piece set bonus, which increases pyro damage by 50% of its starting value for 10 seconds. And you get to increase that to 3 stacks. By 3 stacks. Or it gets 3 stacks for that. So let's open up a calculator real quick. 50
It's
times
32.5.
32.5 is the max bonus elemental
Yeah.
damage bonus, right?
75. 37.5 is what I'm saying.
37.5%. Somewhere around that ballpark is her top, is the top that you can get with that, for the 2-piece set. She is just not able to get that very effectively because, as you stated earlier, her elemental skill has a relatively long cooldown. It's a 20-second cooldown.
You know, you can get it, but it requires careful use, and you have to keep her out for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm. You have to reset the timer just before it runs out, basically, every time. And that's not a problem that you get with characters like D-Luke, who...
Luke is the best user of the set. In fact, I would say he's the only real user of the set. Except for maybe Bennett when you have his ult up.
Bennett, as long as you're tapping his elemental skill, Bennett gets that, it's only like a 4-second cooldown on his elemental skill, I think, even outside of his ult. I forget how long each of the cooldowns are. They get longer.
6, 4, or 4, 6, 8.
4, 6, 8. So even if you hold it down for the max amount of time, he's still able to get that bonus fairly consistently. I think the only other character that might struggle is Xianling, who's more of a secondary DPS. Anyway...
Two characters that probably cannot use it are Xianling and Hu Tao.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Xianling's elemental skill has a 12-second cooldown. She cannot use that. It should be noted that the Vaporize and Melt bonus is not limited by this, and is still very strong. So in terms of artifacts, 4-piece artifact sets, that's probably the best. But alternatively, you could go for a 2-piece Witch's Blaze set and 2-piece Gladiators Gladiators Finale, which increases pyro damage and attack respectively. Or if you wanted to increase her ult's damage, you could go Noblesse Oblige in lieu of Gladiators Finale. And the guide that we watched earlier mentioned... Oops, I did not mean to press you. Mentioned gamblers. Let's see, where is it? Gambler set. What does that do? Defeating an opponent. Oh, okay. For this,
It's didn't you see that video on like that freaking gacha gamer guy that was 8 months old?
It was, yeah. So
they changed the gamblers since then. That's why it's stupid.
Oh, okay.
Because gamblers used to be, if your elemental skill does damage, it has like a 50 or 40% chance to reset.
Oh, okay. Now they changed it to defeating one has a...
Now they removed the actual gambling part of the gambler set.
But they won't let us pick and choose which specific pieces we get from...
Gamblers would actually be a decent set if it was, capable of being a 5-star set. Lots of sets are actually capable of being good sets if they had 5-star artifacts attached to them.
Like instructors?
Instructors would be okay. If you wanted to put it on Sucrose and have elemental support, or elemental master support.
Indeed. I've got Verdescent Vernier on her right now.
Should probably put that on there, but I don't feel like farming that remaining at the moment.
I feel ya.
Alright,
It-
resin is going towards Cryoflower for Diona.
Oh, you're getting Diona up next?
Be level 90 eventually.
But, in any case...
Or max ascension, I should say.
In any case, those are the artifacts that you should be going for. Personally, I've found the most success using either the 4-piece Witch's Blaze set or the 2-piece Witch's Blaze and Gladiator's Longing. For the stats, you'll see that I don't actually have the stats that I want. For your sands, you want to try to get percent attack. For the goblet, you want to get pyro damage, and for the crown, you want to get crit rate or crit damage. We saw that in that last video we saw too.
Indeed.
And you want to prioritize it in that order. For your substats, you want to prioritize crit damage, crit rate, and crit damage, crit rate, and percent attack in that order, to the best of your ability. I know that it's very RNG based, and getting those perfect artifact sets for your characters can take, well, a very long time.
An eternity. You still will not have it.
I have been trying to get... every time I start farming artifacts for Klee, it takes me like a month or two to get the artifacts that I want. And I have had Klee basically since she came out, which it was all...
Not true. Wait, did you? No, you put. No, I remember. I think I gave you the
You
money.
got me Klee.
Yeah,
You're the
never
reason
mind.
You're the reason I have Klee, and I got her on her first run.
I forgot.
In fact, I actually lucked out. I think I was. I failed the 50-50, and then I managed to pull Klee shortly after that, like without any pity.
Just pulling on the banner multis all day. It's like, man, all these Mona dupes, just throw them away. All this garbage trash.
Sometimes I wish you could trade characters. I'd be able to give you one of my D-Luke dupes. Or give you one of my catching dupes. Because I know you said you wanted catching.
Dupe catching. But did not have money for her when her banner was out.
Indeed. Now you have to pray that if you lose the 50-50, you get her, and not another Mona.
At this point, I wouldn't mind Mona dupes.
That's how I feel about Chi-Chi dupes.
The next dupe I get from one will be an ult upgrade.
Ah. Now that would be pretty strong.
And then the dupe after that would be the maximum upgrade I can get, or the final buff for her ult, which gives me crit rate against enemies afflicted by her ult.
Ah.
La la la.
And then 5 is useless. And then 6 is what makes her a main DPS if you wanted to use her that way.
Ah, I see. But in any case, that is what I would use. Now, for weapons, I don't have them. Oops, that's not what I meant to press. For
This
weapons,
will put your 5-star weapons for Klee, if you have them.
yes, any 5-star weapon that you already have would be the best for her. I know that they're 5-star weapons, and even with the weapon banner, you're not guaranteed to get the weapon that you want.
You go on.
Ideally, if you could get it, Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds is probably her best in slot. Skyward Atlas is also very good on her.
I found a
Both
really
of those weapons have
beautiful
very good
Ludisir.
synergy with her
Want me to
abilities.
show it to you?
But those are, like we said, those are 5-star weapons, and if you're outside of getting them on the standard banner for your for the pulls that the game gives you for free, you're probably not likely to get those. So let's talk about the 4-star weapons that you can get, and probably the best one is the one that she's that just released, the event weapon, Dodoko Tails. It increases her charge attack damage by 32% when she uses a normal attack, and this lasts for 6 seconds. When she uses a charge attack, it increases her attack by 16% for 6 seconds, and it's got a percent attack substat on it, which is just it's really good on Klee. It's probably better on characters like Ning Wang or especially Yanfei.
I think it's Ning Guang's for Yanfei's best in slot, not Klee's for a 4-star weapon.
I
Going to
have
P2
found the most
out.
success with this specific weapon.
Mhm.
I have found the most success with this specific weapon. But
Solar Pearl is Klee's best in slot because it gives crit rate.
it certainly does, and it's got a really strong bonus to it. I'm gonna swap that out for with Lisa for a minute. This, like you said, gives a crit rate, which means when I put that on my Klee, she has 86% crit. That is a shit ton of crit. Just part of the reason why I'm using Dodoko Tails on her. But when she uses a normal attack, it increases her elemental skill damage and burst attack by 40%, and the same is true vice versa. So
That's if you have it max refined.
You don't need it max refined. It's still very good. I forget what its most base. What is
Base is 20%.
Is it 20%? It's been a long time,
Yes.
so I couldn't remember. Alternatively, you could use Eye of Perception, just like Dodoko Tails. It's got percent attack as its substat, and it's got a bonus attack chance, 50% chance to fire a bolt, which deals 270% of your attack as damage, and it can bounce between opponents up to a maximum of 4 times. Now this is particularly good. I wouldn't say it's amazing on her, because her attack speed is fairly slow. So if you're using Eye of Perception, you'd do better on characters like a main DPS Lisa. Oh, I've got another. Oh, I can max refine this sacrificial fragments. Oops, I didn't even notice. I'm gonna do that real quick. Speaking of other weapons, though, you can also use Favonius Codex. The energy recharge is not great, but it's got a pretty good
Onyx
synergy.
Codex is good on anyone in the game.
You could also use Widseth on her.
Saying that you would use if you don't have Dodoko Tails or Solar Pearl.
Agreed. For 3-star weapons, where is it? There's someone. If you're gonna use a 3-star weapon, you have to get it max refined to make it worth using, though. There's a specific weapon. I forget what it's called.
Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers.
Thrilling Tales, is that it?
And it's kind of the only good one.
There's another one that someone was using. Was it Twin Nephrite?
I highly doubt it's that one.
Well, in either case, if you're using a 3-star weapon and because it's the only thing you're able to get, try to max refine it to make it worth using. Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer is probably the only good one, but it's
Thrilling Tales and any other 3-star weapon game is kind of freaking gigantic.
mm-hmm.
The effect
Oh,
is literally what makes it.
You could use an Emerald Orb. When you cause a vaporize.
Any water elemental reaction.
Oh, that's a swirl. That's swirl. Never mind. That's only good on sucrose.
It's good on Muna, the only catalyst user in the game, or water catalyst user in the game at the moment.
True.
You could get the vaporize thing if you wanted, but there's like way better chance for that. Literally anything, actually. Its elemental mastery is not a good substat.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad substat. And as a 3-star weapon, it's naturally got pretty low base attack too. Alternatively, you could use Frostbearer, although it's not ideal since you're not getting the full bonus damage out of it. Wine and Song you could use.
You could use it. Allow you to dash cancel more often.
Mm-hmm. I dash cancel a lot. So, speaking of, let's go ahead and talk about some of the techniques that you can use as Klee. Because there are ways to circumvent the low attack speed that Klee just naturally has. But it does require a bit of effort that characters like D-Luke or especially Hu Tao just don't fucking have. And a lot of the techniques are universal, so you can still use them on other characters. Like I said, Klee's 1-2-3 combo is fairly slow, but you can circumvent that by timing her first attack. If you wait for the book to just barely disappear, you can kind of chain her auto attacks together, which increases her basic attack speed by quite a bit. Alternatively, you can use what's called jump canceling. Use an attack, you jump, and then you auto attack again. It's not something I've quite figured out. And then you can, of course, cancel straight into a charge attack by holding down the attack button as soon as you press it. So you press it and then you hold it down, and that cancels her animation and goes into a charge attack.
It's actually pretty fast. It's probably the method I would recommend if it weren't for the fact that you will eat up all your stamina if you're not getting super lucky on your one auto attack.
Indeed.
And then one of these days it'll be like, oh wow, time to dodge this boss attack. And then sadness will wash over you as you realize you've used up all your stamina charge attacks, man.
Yep. The most effective thing that I've found is dash canceling. You auto attack and then you dash. And you don't have to keep sprinting. You just do it, and then you go back and you attack again. These are the ways that you can circumvent Klee's sluggish and clunky attack style, which as a main DPS, she does feel a bit clunky to use. I mean, she's my personal favorite character. She's the character that's carried me through Spiral Abyss the most. But I'd be remiss to not mention that her playstyle does feel a bit on the clunky side. So, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about team compositions. And Techie, you're going to hate me for saying this, but the team that I use is
I hear you've got a job for
Klee,
me.
Rosaria, Bennett,
Gonna be epic.
and Venti.
Give me a moment to compose myself.
This is the Klee team that I use in Spiral Abyss most often. And he's going to hate me because that is not what I meant to open up. I have C6'd my Bennett. And the reason for that was because I specifically wanted to increase Klee's damage. And when
D6 Bennett is not actually bad. It's actually probably really, really strong, but only if you have a pyro character that's not Zinyak.
Indeed.
Because,
Indeed.
just fix that with no resupplies. It's, Bennett's giant ult attack upgrade, no resupplies, 20% more attack, and then 15% bonus attack on just having a 6 constellation.
Mm-hmm.
It is a freaking ridiculous buff.
It really
But-
is.
Only on pyro characters.
Indeed, and that is specifically the reason why I C6'd him, was specifically to augment Klee's damage. Now, alternatively, if you don't have Bennett... Hold on. That's not the button I meant to press.
And it is a 4-star.
Bennett is a 4-star, but if you've just been shit out of luck, you can use Kaya
Needs to be right
instead.
back real quick.
Alright. Wait for him to get back.
I won't hold you back.
I'll get grounded.
Get everyone's ults up anyway. Do that until he gets back. There are some Fatui bad men over here that we can kill to do that.
Here we go. Judgment.
Dumpty Dumpty go! La la la.
Brace yourselves. Let's light it up.
Probably do these while I wait for him, actually. What? Damn it, Rosaria. There we go.
Dumpty Dumpty go!
you back?
I am.
Welcome back. Were you interrupted? by people?
Indeed. By shenanigans. Kind of annoying.
That is highly unfortunate. Well, this was kind of a last-second thing we decided to do. Alright, so... to go back to what I was saying before, the team comp that I use is Klee, Rosaria, Bennett, and Venti. If you don't want to use Venti, you can use Sucrose instead. Although I've had better synergy with Venti specifically. Alternatively, you could use Lisa or Beto. And Xingqiu. Xingqiu is probably the best support for Pyro DPSs because of his ult. You get that consistent vaporize reaction.
With 4 stars being best.
If you have her, Ganyu would probably be a better pick than Rosaria. I have not built my Xingqiu at all. I need to do that.
The Klee's best support. Probably Ganyu. But again, that's a 5-star. So you might necessarily have.
If you have Ganyu, I would put her instead of Rosaria. I know that getting 4 stars can be just as difficult if they're not on the rotation. Though, if you've got them, other 5-star characters that work really well with Klee are Chi-Chi.
That.
Chi-Chi, Albedo, and Jean are probably the best 5-star supports you can use.
I do not know about Chi-Chi. And maybe Albedo. Jean, yes.
Chi-Chi is really strong with Klee specifically, mainly because of Klee's short range. And
Maybe short range, but she's not very short range. She's not a melee DPS.
I understand that, but it's still, she still gets within range for enemies to whack her most of the time. Chi-Chi can help circumvent that with those Adeptus tags. Because she gets that passive regen from Chi-Chi's elemental skill, as well as the lifesteal that her ult gives.
Off topic, because it just came and occurred to me. Something else that would make Chi-Chi better is if her E just gave a defense buff. That would be useful. I'll really attach it to one of her constellations, though.
Everybody stand back. Sparks, blast!
La la la.
Ult's back now. So I had to use Bennett's ult to keep Klee alive. Because she took a shit ton of damage. You see, even in the overworld, she tends to take a lot of damage, but my Klee specifically has not a whole lot of HP. So, in terms of what I was using before
Ready
with
for a
Venti,
rehearsal?
let's go ahead and show you what the cycle looks like once I have all of my cooldowns back.
It's going to be more productive instead of just naming specific team comps and just, I don't know, that's more of potential.
Cycling your ults properly is part of the skill expression in Genshin Impact, especially in the floor 12 of the Spiral Abyss right now, which is a great deal easier than the last one we got. because it doesn't have those goddamn water enemies. But it is still fairly difficult because
Four is difficult, but not for stupid reasons.
Indeed. It's more difficult but fair this time around.
Last time it was, oh look, I'm being swarmed by water enemies. If I'm not in ult animation, I'm going to die.
Basically. I hope you have Zhongli. The only fucking way you're gonna survive.
I mean, there were other ways to survive it. I didn't use shocking in that team comp.
I kind of fucked it up, but the idea is to start with Bennett ult, then use Venti ult, then use Rosario ult, and then finally use Klee ult. And the reason you do it in that order specifically is because Bennett's ult augments attack, which increases everyone else's attack. But specifically, it's snapshots. So you use Klee at the end, and she keeps that buff for the duration of her ult. Which, of course, increases her damage.
But actually, snapshots.
Bennett ult?
Any ult damage in the game.
Yes. Any ult, any effect that augments damage in one way or another, like increasing attack with Bennett or increasing ult damage or whatever, it will. If you use a ult that has a long duration to it, it will snapshot. Like, I'll show you the proper rotation here this time. So I start with Bennett, I use Venti, then I use Rosaria, and then finally I finish it off with Klee. And this, it's just an overworld lava troll, but you can see how quickly it melts. It didn't even lose its shield, too. And I've already got all 4 of my ults back up, and I used them all for that one enemy.
For the record, I did just try, but if you remove stuff beneath the milestones in the teapot, you will lose the extra income.
You will?
Yep.
That's weird. I removed every single piece of furnishing, and I didn't lose anything.
No man, I just removed a set just because it was an easy set to remove, just because I'm really close to the line, and I was no longer at fit for a king anymore. I was like, how disappointing.
Here we go. Judgment.
Oh well,
Indeed.
just have to go about things differently.
Punishment.
I still wonder if the
Get away.
Adept launch of the other realm node stacks, but
I think it does.
enough of this sidetracked nonsense.
Well, we're just about done here with everything we can say about this.
Let's play. Brace yourselves. You can't run. Here we go.
Jumpy dumpty go.
Would you like to say anything else on the topic?
Oh, last thing we should probably talk about is Klee's constellations. Her first one is probably her most important one. When you use her attack or abilities, you get a chance to summon a quick shot from her ult, which deals actually 120% of the damage from her ult. It's actually the constellation that I have for her right now.
But you're on higher.
If I can get another 5-star, if another 5-star drops, I'm guaranteed C2 Klee.
I see.
Because I lost the 50-50 the most recent poll. So
Yeah.
if I can get another 5-star to drop, oh, it's 160, not 150. I'm dumb.
Add as
Well, you have 6 days.
Indeed. Oh, and it's a 4-star. Let's see what unit I get. And it's a Sucrose dupe, which gives me an Intertwined Fate from Star Glitter.
Yeah, 1 free drop.
Alright, let's see. And it is a 3-star. Unfortunate. Hey, look at that. It's Thrilling Tales. But, to continue, Klee's second constellation, like we said, when she uses her, when an enemy walks into the mines, it decreases their defense by 23%, which augments both her damage and everyone else's damage as well. Her third and fifth constellations increase her elemental skill damage, or elemental skill level and ult level, respectively. Her fourth one causes that big dick explosion that we mentioned earlier. And finally, her last one, she will regenerate 3 energy for every member of her party, excluding herself for... she'll regenerate 3 energy for every member of her party, excluding herself every 3 seconds. So you get it. So you get 3 free energy, or 9 free energy, within those 10 seconds. And when it's used, everyone in the party will get a 10% pyro damage bonus for 25 seconds.
Strong, but not as strong as your first one.
That's more of a support skill, in my opinion.
It is a support skill, but since it does affect her as well, at least the bonus damage does.
She gets the bonus damage, but not the additional energy. In my opinion, her 2 strongest are her first and second constellations. If you can get those, you're golden. But if you can't get any constellations for her, don't
Then
fret.
uninstall the game.
Obviously. But with all seriousness, she is not all that dependent on constellations. And I am actually thankful for that. Most 5-stars in the game are not constellation dependent. Which would be kind of pretty bad design if they were.
Indeed, but there are some that kind of get giant gameplay changes.
Indeed.
Go and use one of them. Zhongli is definitely one of them. 90, not so much. Klee, not so much. Although it does help. Mona, no.
And
The
then,
only that changes her gameplay is the 6th one, which isn't even that big of a change.
indeed. And then there's Lisa.
Indeed, but she's not a 5-star.
She could be a 5-star, though.
Only if you have all the constellations.
Indeed. In any case, that will just about do it for that. I guess for the rest of time, let's just do some content. for a bit. Colin, would you like to join me for Ajdaha?
Suppose I can. Me to destroy it quickly, or do you want to actually fight it?
Let's obliterate it quickly.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot actually. Hold on, I need to check one thing.
I'll bring in my Klee and my Bennett.
I've been trying to figure out if I can move the stupid main house. Teapot. And I think I know a way, now that I think about it, so give me a second.
Alright. Oh, quick tip for all you newbies out there that just got to Ajdaha. If you don't have to be surprised by the elements. These symbols on the actual wall, the gate to him, will tell you what elements he has. This week is Thunder, or Electro, and Hydro.
So you can't. Good. Because that would have been irritating. Something to complain about another day.
We can talk about the
Give me a second for
realms to
the realm save.
I'm actually glad that they added that housing system.
Because it gives me something to do in between
These bombs so heavy.
waiting for stuff to regen.
Indeed. Are there any bosses you need to kill, Colin?
Destroyed all the bosses for the week.
Okay.
These bombs so heavy.
The only thing you need to do is kill Ice Flower Bunch.
I see. See, the problem is I don't need Ice Flower, I need Water Bird.
See, so you can switch realms and it will keep your highest adeptal energy, but if you lower your actual highest adeptal energy, it's going to reduce.
Ah, okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
So I would assume that means no, that does not stack between realms.
Klee's a brave girl today.
Which is fine because I imagine even at 90
Want me to show it to you?
realm currency an hour, you could actually buy everything in the realm treasure shop every week.
Yep.
And still, like, slowly gain more over time, I think.
These bombs so heavy.
Although, if you're going to be stuck at 30, we do need to lower the cost of some of that shenanigans, because 24, what, 6 days by 20 heroes wit, kind of ridiculous.
Is that ridiculous bad or good?
Bad.
I agree.
This route.
I can buy the transient resin for half of that and get way more. Not necessarily straight up wit, but the second one will also make up for that. Oh wait, no, I think might be equivalent. Because I forgot, I don't use condensed resin anymore. I don't get 7 per.
I've got
If you ever
6 condensed resin, and I'm about to have 8 from the battle pass. I swear, the best thing they ever did for the battle pass was give us those condensed, or I'm sorry,
Fragile resin.
fragile resin. Sorry, had a lapse of memory there. But the best thing they ever did for the battle pass was add those fragile resin to the battle pass.
It helps. But unfortunately, one could say it is not enough. It's just a tiny step in the right direction of we want to play the game more.
Indeed. Oh, well, while we're still waiting, I did have a few thoughts on what MiHoYo could possibly do in the future to sort of give players a bit more agency when they farm artifacts, because the more I think about it, the more obvious it becomes that all of the complaints about the resin system, almost all due to artifact grinding.
Yeah.
So
Artifact grinding is like, I feel like it's almost designed to be like the grind fest, the thing that you do when there's nothing else to do. So the problem is there's always something else to do.
mhm.
Like getting your character's talents maxed out is a giant undertaking because the very final level by itself costs 2.1 mil monies.
That it does.
And that's if you get all three of them, triple crowning the character.
Which
means
my Klee is triple crowned. She's the only character that I've ever had triple crowned.
yeah, you're not really triple crowning characters often with how often they actually hand them out.
Mm-hmm. To date, I don't think there's a single person out there that has more than 3 characters triple crowned.
I think they've handed out 9 crowns yet.
How many have they handed out? 8?
No, I have 4 sitting in my inventory right now. And I have only used 3 of them. So there's 7. How long is this saving? Oh, Jesus.
Because they saved those Crown of Insights for the big events, like Lantern Rite and
There
soon to
we
be
go.
Ludisir past him.
You can kind of agree with some design aspects, like not having everyone be your strongest character all the time. Just a little tiny bit of extra.
True.
For the characters you like.
I do somewhat agree with that. Because
So I'm
we
just gonna
don't want the Spiral Abyss to become just a pushover.
I mean, maybe someday, you can. But I don't think it ever will be, because, like, unless you, can get all of them, like, you will someday be able to get a full team triple crown, although it's not going to be for like another year and a half
Yeah,
after they
indeed.
hand out shenanigans.
Well, to go back to what I was saying, because the biggest complaint is artifact grinding, and there is some legitimacy to it, at the very least.
There's a ton
Like-
of legitimacy to it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like if players had even just a little bit more agency in how they can get their preferred artifacts, people wouldn't complain nearly as much. We've already said that we've already talked about our biggest pick, our ideal for this would just be letting us pick and choose which artifacts we get and then customizing the stats on those. One way that I thought they could go about doing that specifically is by giving us a one-time use blueprint from the domain drop, and then we have Tubby make it in the Depthal realm. And it's there that we get to actually customize what stats we get.
Here.
That is one way they could go about letting us do that, which wouldn't increase server load all that much, or bog down players getting that. Of course, they could, and Tubby could, of course, just have a random option as well. Oh shit! I did not mean to press that. I'm sorry.
Go on.
He would, if you're just looking for fodder to level up your artifacts, he could just have a random.
Toby already has artifact level up shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true. That's true. They could just reduce the price on that and not have us require artifacts to level up. I'm gonna bring Bennett. Not there, though. Where are you, Bennett? I just saw you. There you are.
These bombs, so heavy.
We'll go back to that in a moment because I do have other ideas that I can actually see MiHoYo doing in the future.
Is locking everyone into a cutscene count as something they could do in the future.
Aww.
This is long overdue.
That really hurt.
Good God, look at him die.
Now he's invincible. Although I do kind of wish when other characters could exist at the same level as Ganyu.
You witness your reckoning.
You wish there were other characters that were as strong as Ganyu?
In my own personal collection, yes.
I'm gonna wait to use Klee ult until after he does this again. Good fucking go- Oh!
Just my...
Well, I don't have Benny ult anymore.
Only his shockwaves can hit me on top of Zhongli's pillar.
I got hit by one of those steps in it, and then I ran into one of the shenanigans that he summons for that.
Well,
Go away. Is he invincible again?
I will have
no, he can hit his tail.
Oh, I thought that was... Oh, fuck. Oh, poor Klee.
crumble.
Let's light it up.
I will not be destroyed.
Ooh. Ooh! That lets me level up, Yola's talent to level 9. Because I got one of the horns, and then I got one of the essences. So, I think as far as that's concerned, that's the only thing that I need. I don't think I'm leveling up any character's talents past that right now.
Like the other bosses anyway, in the event that you do need to.
Why does catching need? Alright, well, let's go kill Wolf. And then kill Child.
Why not Storm Terror, Josh?
Because we can't do that together, you silly Billy. For some fucking reason, it has you can do multiplayer on that, but not in a co-op realm for some reason.
Master Plan.
Why is this game like this? Am I going the right way? No.
Officials. Secondary or ascension status.
Whose?
Officials.
I forget. I'd have to send her again to give you an answer to that. But, going back to what I was saying before, one thing that I can see MiHoYo actually doing goes back to that billet trove that they handed out in Klee's event. Instead of giving us the artifact itself, they give us that billet trove, and then we use that, and we get to choose. We get one of two choices. We get for one trove for each artifact set, and that's what we get when we clear a domain. And then we go back out into the overworld, and we use that, and it lets us choose one specific piece from that set. Now, what main stat and substat that piece has would still be left to chance, but at the very least, you're not having to rely purely on RNG in order to get what piece you're looking for.
Only the best of team compositions.
Double Klee, double Bennett? Yes, obviously.
And the levels for each are completely reversed.
Yes, indeed. Alright, Wolf, are you ready to get bombarded by two lollies and two shotas? Are you gonna ult first?
Don't have a weak, unfortunately.
I do.
Teamwork is strict.
I need to stand up.
Let's light it up. Everybody stand up.
Get the hell back here. Why is my ult attacking the floor?
He has to attack something.
Kind of wishing I had Beto, not gonna lie. Come on, bring it on.
I'm going in. Everybody stand back.
Do these bonuses stack?
Maybe.
Good God. I got a catalyst billet.
Oh, now you can make a second frost bear.
It'd be a third one, actually.
Train the test. I need to go find some enemies to charge up Bennett's ult on.
Oh, ow. Where did that come from?
Okay. I'll meet you at Childman.
I'm not in child, but I'm not going to use Bennett for child.
Okay.
I just want to see if Bennett will stack.
Oh, okay. Where are you then? Where did you go?
Southern part of the map near the castle. Sooth of Mount Tianhang.
Bombs.
Oh, okay. I think I know where you are. There you are. All right. Are you prepared, Colin?
I got careless.
I'm not to kill these guys, I just want to try.
Okay.
Should have swapped out to kill him instead of Klee beforehand so I could actually kill him when I was done.
Okay, so you wanted to see if Bennett ult stack?
Indeed. Just give me one quick second. Where is Official
No one's thrown me on
dishes?
an adventure in ages. Come on, let's go.
Alright, my official has 8,100 attack.
Let's see, my Klee has 2,342. All right, are you prepared?
I'm old first. So now I'm at 4,000.
Teamwork is dreamwork.
And
Does not.
I didn't think so. At least the healing does, though.
I think my Bennett has a stronger ult than yours.
Well, your Bennett is higher level, which means he has a higher base attack. And you're also using Aquila Favonia on him.
Because I only got a 200 bonus off of your ult.
Adventure time. Like royal free.
I'm not trying to kill these guys,
Let's
by the
light
way.
it up.
Your points.
Dumpy dumpy go!
Well, I thought your Bennett had a higher ult rather than mine. Especially because you also have the constellation that gives him the ult upgrade.
It doesn't increase the attack further.
It gives a higher ratio bonus, so it does. Because leveling up Bennett's ult gives more attack bonus ratio.
Let's see. That might have something to do with it. His ult is only level 9.
Put it a couple levels higher than mine.
Do you want to come fish blasting with me? I'll get grounded for a whole day, but it's way worth it because the fish tastes so good.
You have it
Bonus
at the...
ratio, 95%.
Yeah, I have 78.
That's 95% of his base attack.
Benny's adventure team.
Bennett's
assemble.
base attack for me is 535.
Mine is 865.
Your Bennett's level 90 though, right?
Level 90 in Aquila Favonia.
Mm-hmm. That's probably why it's so much higher.
Probably the Aquila Favonia. I swapped to, well, my freaking, sort I was going to put on him as an actual level 90, so it would be kind of in now the test.
Klee was a brave girl today. I found a
Go
really
ahead, give
weird
Bennett
looking
this
lizard.
thing.
Want me to show
Ah.
it to you?
Benny's adventure team.
Although the current
assemble.
sword on the banner wouldn't actually be bad for Bennett. I actually wonder what Bennett's best in slot weapon is, and that will require some thought.
Well, in any case, I swapped him to Aquila Favonia, and he went to freaking 738 base attack.
Wow, 5-star weapons.
Good things come to those who don't wait around. That's what they
All
say.
right.
Knowing my luck, the opposite is probably true for me.
This man too.
Benny's adventure team.
Huh?
Assemble.
These bombs, so heavy.
Oh, you're still picking. It's an interesting thing.
Okay, also,
Let's see how,
also,
I wonder how fast we'll kill him.
I'm gonna even use my ult. No, I don't have health. Let me just that real
I
quick.
promise I'll be gentle. Not bad, not bad. Not bad. You've got it.
Boing, boing, boom.
No use hiding back there.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm going to actually use my ults.
Alright. I'm ready whenever you are.
Do you have Bennett ult?
I do not.
Then I'm not waiting.
For Rex Lapis. Fate is upon me.
Jesus Christ. Where's... Do I get another billet? I do not.
The more I think about it, the more I feel like all the characters should be able to get to max level without having to need a gigantic amount of leveling up materials.
I agree with that.
Lucky all my new bombs
There's
are
some things that
waterproof.
should baseline be fulfillable easily enough without a giant amount of grinding.
But going back to
Wonder if they can't do Storm Terror together because of the camera shenanigans that afflicts all the players.
oh, you know what? That might be true. I hadn't thought about that.
It just cannot possibly handle it. You break everything.
I know you're probably just memeing at this point, but you're probably correct about that because of mobile support. Anyway, one thing we should probably mention before we go, the bare minimum that MiHoYo needs to do is give either Tubby or make a new NPC that lets us reset artifacts to level 1. 'Cause I'm sure you've had that godlike artifact that you got. It's got percent attack, it's got flat attack, crit rate, crit damage.
I know one of my artifacts for Lisa recently falls into what I'm pretty sure you're trying to describe.
And
Her
then the last
feather recently,
Yep.
if you want to hear the stats on this.
Sure.
Percent attack, percent defense, crit damage, and energy recharge. Energy recharge was gained.
Yeah, it all went into the one stat you didn't want.
Yep, 25.5% defense. Every single roll was into defense.
Yep.
Except for the energy recharge gain.
Yep. For
Sorry.
me, that happened recently with one of Klee's artifacts that I started using. I think it was her timepiece. No.
These bombs, so heavy.
Forget. There was a character that I got a really good artifact on. Like, it was
I
absolutely
created another
amazing.
universe and founded paradise.
And
Garbage
it
truck.
all went into fucking defense except for one time.
I think one of Eula's is like that too, except I kind of allowed it because every other artifact was okay, and I was like, yeah, she kind of needs a little bit of defense so she doesn't explode upon being hit once.
In my opinion, there is nothing more demoralizing than getting that godlike artifact with percent attack, crit rate, crit damage, and it all goes into defense or flat HP or some shit.
Eula's mask has 20% HP.
Oh, speaking of Eula, I should probably check what is giving her so much damn HP. Oh yeah, her timepiece has some flat HP or percent HP in it.
Say, like, flat HP is not going to do a whole lot. It's not gonna make up 13,000 difference away from her base health.
Do I have? Oh, that's unfortunate.
I set your Klee on fire.
How could you do that? You're killing Klee.
Say, one thing that is nice about Aquila Favonian on Ben is whenever he uses his E and he's in grass, he just heals for the brief damage of being set on fire. It's not bad. If only it wasn't physical damage, sword would actually be really good on him.
Indeed. But unfortunately, it is physical damage substat. But in any case,
Jump off a cliff with it, though? No. Not
for
jump
old
off a cliff
time's
is-
sake.
Anyways, what?
that is just about everything I wanted to talk about. You didn't fall hardly at all. Here, let me show you how a real man does it.
You really want me to prove you wrong again, Josh?
You don't have to do that. I just proved myself wrong.
It actually kind of difficult to launch yourself off the edge with them unless you go to one specific place.
Why do they never miss?
There we go.
Expel through a cave event.
I didn't die. But anyway, that is just about done. To recap, Klee, very strong character. I disagree with Tectone. She works just as good as a main DPS as most of the other Pyro DPS characters. I think it's her best. I think it's what she excels at the most. Because, you know, her ult really benefits from being out for as long as possible. Even if you have that 4th constellation.
Not even that, but well, only if you have the 6th one. But aside from that, she does kind of fulfill both roles well enough.
Mm-hmm.
She is the person you keep out, but as soon as you're done with her ult, you swap out to cast all the other ults that you helped regen with Klee.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. She is a really strong pick. She's my favorite character, my daughter, if you will. With all seriousness, she's a really strong character. Anyone that says otherwise is actually wrong. Like objectively wrong. She does have problems. She's not a perfect character by any stretch of the imagination. But she's not a bad character.
No, anyone who says that, I'm pretty sure she's considered the 3rd best DPS in the game.
I think she was considered that before Eula came out.
It's Hu Tao, that's number 1.
Mm-hmm. It goes Hu Tao, Diluc, and Klee, I think.
Indeed.
And then Eula is pretty close behind all 3 of them.
Eula's probably number 5. I would say Ganyu is 2nd.
Oh, that's right. Ganyu's damage is just ridiculous.
We have to look at damage potentials, because my Ganyu is really strong, but doesn't necessarily mean she's strong in every possible sense.
Mm-hmm. Ganyu, on a whole, has a pretty ridiculous damage potential, though. Her charge attacks are really fucking strong. But in any case, this has been Lucid Streams. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back at a later
Eventually.
date.